Hey guys, what's up? It's Kaylee. I am back with another What Sold from Last Week video. I want to real quickly just catch you guys up on where we're at. I know I usually do a little bit of like business update before we jump into this. And man, things have been changing here at Well Traveled. I am to the point, I don't know how to say this, where we are growing at a substantial rate really quickly, and honestly it's been really tough to handle it. Now don't get me wrong, we have been able to handle it, but I've gone through a lot of growing pains, and so has my team over the last couple of months. And as it feels like we finally got things figured out, we are expanding again. So here soon we are going to be bumping up the amount of listings that we're doing. Hopefully you'll see a change in my sales report over the next several months, hopefully in the positive direction. A couple of months ago, we were just listing 30 items a day. We list everything on both eBay and Poshmark using List Perfectly. The sales that I show you here on this report every single week are pulled from both of those platforms. And then I would say roughly about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we upped our active listings every single day to 35, which I know jumping 5 every single day does not sound like a lot, but it actually is. And if you're a reseller who's ever tried to bump up 5 a day, you can attest down in the comments below that it's a lot of work. 5 extra listings a day is nothing to sneeze at, because not only do you have to list 5 extra items, but you also have to photograph them, you have to source them, you have to deal with all the back-end stuff, customer questions, shipping, and all of that. So it really adds up quickly, which is why I always recommend growing slowly. It's usually something that I follow for myself, but we've had a lot of opportunities come our way, and so we are taking the opportunities and just running with them. With that in mind, we are going to be having hopefully some substantial growth on the amount of active listings that we are pushing out every single day. Right now, we are still doing 35 active listings. Normally, I'd like to stay there for a couple of months, but here in about 2 weeks, I think we're going to bump up to 40 a day, which is mind-blowing to me. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'll make sure that those plans are actually concrete and update you guys on that, but hopefully you can follow along the journey as I bump up listings and see how that affects my sales report. All in all, sales have been really good. I'm really impressed with what we've been able to do, and our sell-through rate is still pretty high. The amount of items that we are listing is about how much we are selling, which you'll see here on this report. Without further ado, let's dive into that report.
All right, so everything that you see here on this report happened between December 18th through December 24th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday, and that's how I calculate my weeks. In total, we sold 244 items for a gross sales total of $5,772.73. So about $5,800. Super happy with this number. Hoping with our increase in listings that we'll be doing soon, this number will always be between 6,000 and 7,000, but we will have to see how that goes. Average sale price was $23.66. That is a lot lower than what I am used to, but as we've talked about in pretty much every What Sold video for the last month, maybe month and a half, is we've been dropping prices on Poshmark to move older items, and you can see that average sale price is super low, which is the cause for the dip. But normally we're between 30 and 40 on our regular items that we're picking up now, where we've got a little bit more sense, a little bit more education, and do a little bit more research to know how quickly items are going to sell for. My estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost was $976. My estimated net, which is the gross sales less cost of goods, fees, and shipping costs, including any shipping discounts that I gave on Poshmark, was $3,251.32. Now, as you guys know, I do have a team, I have an office, so there are extra expenses that I have that other people do not. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's just the fees and shipping costs taken out, but I do have other expenses as well. On eBay, I sold 94 items. On Poshmark, I sold 150. Gross sales on eBay were over $3,300 and on Poshmark over $2,400. As I mentioned, you can see the average sale price on Poshmark was only $16. On eBay, it was almost $36. So you can see that big variance there, and hopefully these will start to level out. But even if I use Poshmark as kind of my I guess, place to get rid of older items, I'm okay with that because one thing I love about Poshmark is you don't get charged until an item sells. So it costs me nothing to list on there other than my time, which you guys know I use this perfectly to cross post stuff over there from eBay to Poshmark. Takes me less than 30 seconds. So to get items moved over there and have that extra chance to sell at full price, which you'll see some of those full price sales here, and also be able to use it for clearance, like it just makes sense to me because I'm not spending that much time over there. So let's dive into some of these sales. I did make sure to include my normal ones, you know, the higher valued ones that you definitely want to look for, the bolos at the thrift store. But a few of you guys have mentioned in the comments that you'd really like to see some of those lower price flips that don't sell for much but sell quickly. So I got some examples of those here in the middle on the eBay side, and I'll share those with you today. But let's dive into some more of the bolo sales. So this is not my best sale, but it is one of my best sales. This is a brand that I just learned about called Arlene Wool. Now, one thing about this tag that kind of drew me to it is, first of all, it is a different looking tag. But the hand woven designs is really what drew me to it. A lot of these brands, I don't think this is wool. It might be a wool blend, but a lot of these brands like this make really high quality wool pieces, and that's what I thought it originally was. This one's actually missing its material tag. I also had a couple of spots on the front, and even with all of that, it sold very quickly at my full asking price. So this is, I think, a cotton, maybe wool blend jacket. We had to kind of guess, and you can see there are some spots on the front, but this thing was super high quality, super thick, and I don't know, it just has that vibe, you know, that kind of like artsy vibe that people really like. So we did look into it. This brand does have a pretty significant retail value, and it does have a following. So there wasn't much information about it, but the information I did see led me to believe it would sell quickly. We only paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $99.87, so about $100. It sold within just a couple of weeks for our full asking price, even with those flaws, which I'm super happy about. There is, I think, one other piece, actually I think it's the last item I'm going to show you today, that also sold for a high amount with a flaw. And I like to show you these pieces not to tell you to pick up things with flaws. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But sometimes you can take chances on things and end up making a good profit on it if you know it's valuable, even with flaws. So this is an item I took a chance on. Next up is a new brand to me. Unfortunately, there is a thrift haul going to come out after this video, I think. So with some of these items, I just did not get around to editing that as quickly as I did to making this what sold video. But you're going to see a couple of these pieces in a thrift haul, and I do talk about it more there, but this is a new brand called WR Up. These are called the Freddy skinny shaping pants, and anything shapewear I always look into because people are just really into it right now. So these are super stretchy pants. You can kind of see the butt has like that certain shape to it to give it a lift. Plus it was new with tags. I think had it not been new with tags, I wouldn't have even noticed these pants, but I'm happy I did notice them because I looked them up. They had a super high sell-through rate. I only paid $4.89 for these. We listed for $84.87. They sold within about a week for my full asking price. So definitely a brand you want to keep your eye out for. WR Up, not sure what that stands for. Especially in the Freddy skinny pants, and even if they were not new with tags, I would definitely get them as long as they were in good condition. This is another bolo I'd be on the lookout for. It is a Smart Wool, pretty much just this brand in general, Smart Wool. This one had a couple of extra things going for it. It was a size extra large. It was in good condition. This is called the Alamosa sweater. It is a merino wool blend zip jacket. Now Smart Wool, as the name would imply, is known for their wool pieces, but oftentimes when you come across that at a thrift store, in my opinion, does not feel like wool. It feels usually like cotton blends. So if you're not familiar to look for this brand, you might not know to give it a second glance. So I wanted to make sure to show this. This is a fantastic brand to look for, and I pick up almost everything in this brand. Because they are frequently made out of wool, you do want to make sure to check for holes. We only paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $59.87. Within a couple of weeks, we got an offer for $53.88. Actually, I think that's an offer we sent out to our watchers, and they accepted, which is about 10% off. Next up is something I always get when I find it. It is Patagonia men's items with the big logo spell out. I get it in t-shirts, I get it in hoodies, I get it in just about anything if it's got this big multicolor spell out. That is like the selling point of Patagonia. People really want the logo. As you can see, the condition was not the best on this, and we did note that there was pilling throughout, but again, I have such great luck selling these that I was like, we are getting it. So this was called the Uprisal hoodie. This was a size extra large, which also helped to up the value. Again, the biggest thing being that logo on the back, and you'll notice this is the front, but we chose to make the cover photo the back because that was the selling point. So we paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $49.87. It took about a week to sell, and it sold for a full asking price. So definitely keep your eye out for these, even in not the best condition. I wouldn't pick them up with holes, but like pilling, slight fading, people are still buying these for crazy amounts. This is probably my favorite sale. Again, you're going to see this in a thrift haul, but this is just such a beautiful one-of-a-kind coat. This is called Micro Pack. It is a vintage coat. Now, the ones that I saw on eBay were all raincoats and had a very great sell-through rate. I could not find much about these silk ones, but I knew that I had something. And this has like a beautiful iridescent color to it, and we made sure to display it on the mannequin to do it full justice. I paid up for this. I paid $8.99, and we listed it for $75-ish or best offer. The reason I accepted a best offer was because, again, I was not sure where to price this at, and so I was going to let the market decide, but I did know it was probably going to sell quickly just because of how rare it was. So we listed at about $75 or best offer. I very quickly, after just a couple of weeks, maybe even 1 week, got an offer for $55, which was very close to my asking price, and I went ahead and accepted. Definitely keep your eye out for anything that is just super special like this, even though it might look gaudy to some people. There is a following for stuff like this, especially when it is 100% silk. This is a brand I just learned about this year, and every time I find it, I pick it up. Men's, women's, doesn't matter. It is G4, and I think a lot of people do not know about this brand. This is a golf brand that has a super high sell-through rate and sells for really good money. I think this is my first time coming across a women's piece, and I'm happy with the comps on that. So G4, this is a women's quarter zip pullover, just cotton. And is it cotton? I think it's cotton. There's no material tag, but I'm pretty sure it felt cottony. We paid $4.89 for it. We listed it for $59.87. It sold within about a week for a full asking price. We found some other G4 pieces in the men's department. This one was also in men's, but they have not sold yet, but I expect they're probably going to sell within the next month. This is something that actually did take a few months to sell, but I thought it was worth showing just because of the return on investment. I paid $4.89 for this. It did, again, take a little while to sell. We did have a couple flaws on it, but I thought it was a beautiful gown. So this is a Capulet is the brand. Let me show you. This is a Revolve brand, and it was a beautiful satiny maxi dress, which is the main reason that I looked at it. I took a chance on this because the sell-through rate did not look super high, but I did think that I had something, and it was also size extra small. So that is another, I guess I would call it a risk factor, something that does not add value and sometimes drops the value. This one also had some staining at the bottom. But even with all of that, we ended up selling it within a couple of months for an offer to watcher of $44.99. So $45, even with all those risks, that is something that I am happy about. Next up is something we got strictly for factor stacking, but I will show you the brand. It's called Factory Patty. I could not find much about this, but it was baby alpaca 100%, which alpaca, it really depends, but in my opinion, if it's got the right style to it, can really sell quickly for good money. So this one obviously has some beautiful colors to it. It is a multicolor Aztec cardigan. And then on top of that, 100% baby alpaca. This is the kind of thing that people are looking for regardless of brand. We paid $4.89 for this, listed for $49.99. It took a couple of months to sell, but it sold for an offer to watcher of about 10% off for $44.99. And when I say offers to watchers, I'm just bulk sending out offers on the eBay page. To anybody that's watching an item, I usually just do 10%, and that's where a lot of these offers are coming from, not because I am putting best offer on the item. This is Lily Pulitzer. I pick up almost anything in this brand. This one was actually a little bit risky because we are in the dead of winter, and this is a mini skirt, a tennis skirt actually. It's got shorts underneath. But I could not pass up Lily Pulitzer, and to my surprise, it sold within about 2 months, for an offer to watcher of $44.99, so about $45. We originally paid $4.89 for it in the dead of winter. So happy I got that. Would definitely not pass up on Lily Pulitzer skirts, even in the colder weather, because they are going to sell. And skirts in general, I'm going to guess this year are going to be popular again because they were really popular this past season. This is a J. Crew piece. This one is actually J. Crew Collection. You can see it actually says that on the tag. And if you've got J. Crew Collection, you want to make sure to put that in your title because that does add value in my opinion. So this is an Italian cashmere women's turtleneck sweater, size extra large. Again, a higher end label. I thought this would actually go for more, but I think the extra small really dragged the value down. However, still really great return on investment, so I cannot complain. We paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $49.88. It sold in a month for our full asking price. So I would definitely keep your eye out even in smaller sizes for that J. Crew collection, especially in cashmere. This is a brand I told you guys I've been experimenting with lately. It is Abercrombie & Fitch. These are a pair of men's moose plaid pajama pants, and I knew that these were going to sell pretty quickly because of the logo all over it, and this type of plaid just performs really well in all brands for me. We paid $4.89 for this. We listed for about $40. It took just 1 month to sell for an offer to watcher of $35.89. So definitely keep your eye out for that. Abercrombie pajama pants in the men's department seem to be performing pretty good. This is a Ralph Lauren piece. I talk about this brand a lot. This one was a 3X. I do try to focus on the larger sizes, so that's the main reason we looked at it. This one was also a wool Angora cashmere blend. Now, as you'll notice, there are a couple of spots, and there was also it's a spot stain on the sleeve. So we made sure to note that flaw, but even with the flaw, it still sold for full asking price. We paid $4.89 for it, and it ended up selling within just a couple of weeks for almost $40. So really happy with that. Again, even if you've got a spot, if it's a highly desirable item, in my opinion, will still sell. I think people are willing to put the work into it. I try not to put the work into it. I just kind of list as is in most cases, but somebody's willing to. This is something that's really been put into my rotation of stuff to be on the lookout for. It is Talbot's larger size blazer. So this is a Talbot's 16 petite, not too large of a size, but large enough. I thought it was worth getting. Very modern looking pink blazer. We paid $5.99 for this. It sold for a full asking price in a couple of months for $34.89. And that's usually about what I can get for Talbot's blazers, is somewhere between $35 and $40. Next up, one of the highest sell-through rate brands that I sell is Flint and Tinder. This is a menswear brand, and pretty much everything in this brand is going to sell for a lot. You can see again a flaw on this. I guess that's the theme of this video. Even with falls it's selling, but small hole in the armpit. And I just want to say we don't normally get stuff knowing that there's flaws. We end up finding it later. We do try to look over the items when we're picking them up, but when we're picking up, close to 300 items every week, you are going to miss stuff. So we just note it, drop the price a little bit, and move on. This is a Flint and Tinder men's Henley shirt. You guys might have seen me sell jeans in this brand before, which also do very good, or pants. Shirts also do really good, just not for as much. So we paid $4.89. We listed it for $29.87, even with a flaw, sold in about a week for full asking price. So here's some examples I've pulled as we finish up eBay, and then we'll jump on over to the bolos on Poshmark. But here's just a few examples that you guys have asked for of some items that don't flip for much, but we do know are going to flip quickly, so are willing to invest into them a little bit. One of those brands is Life is Good. Particularly, we focus on the larger sizes in men's and women's. So this is the size extra large women's long sleeve, just graphic t-shirt. Nothing too special, but again, this brand just performs so good. This brand performs so well, again, in the larger sizes, that I'm pretty confident picking it up for full price at a thrift store, even though I know it's not going to sell for much, because I know it's going to flip in just a couple of weeks if I price it correctly. So we paid $4.89 for this. We listed it for only $19.87, but it did sell within a couple of weeks. So this is an example of something I'm totally willing to pick up at full price at a thrift store, knowing that I'm going to get my money back super quickly. Now, the catch to this is, again, the larger size and that I priced it correctly. If I would have priced this for $25, I probably would have sat on this for several months, but pricing at $20 seems to be the sweet spot and gets items moving very quickly. And if I'm coming across an item, even though I'm not going to make that much money for it, if I'm already there and I know that it sells quickly, I can't pass on picking it up. My brain just will not allow me to do that. Next up is another one that flipped quickly. This is a Talbot size 1X. Women's, just pretty plain, honestly, plaid flannel shirt, but it was a plus size. We got this at the bins, so very low cost of goods. It flipped within a couple of weeks for a full asking price of $19.87. So it's another example of some brands you might want to look out for. Again, you definitely want to try to factor stack though. You want something else to pull that sale through. In this case, it was the larger size. Here's another one. This is J. Jill. Now, this brand's a little bit tricky. I do try to focus on the larger sizes if I want to get full price for an item, which in my opinion, full price in this brand at larger sizes would be $25 and up. If I pick up something that is less than a larger size, meaning like extra large and plus size, then I'll just price slightly lower to get it to move quicker, if that makes sense. So this is an example of something that is not going to sell for a lot, but I do know that I can flip it quickly. This is a J. Jill size medium, perfect Pima, nice color and in good condition. I paid $4.89 for it. We listed it for about $22, which again is a dropped price to get it to move quickly. And it did sell within a couple of weeks for a full asking price of $21.87, $22. Here's another example of that. This is a Zara women's linen top. This is a size small. This had a lot of factors to pull it through though. It was linen. It was very drapey, and you can just see it has that aesthetic that people are looking for right now. We paid $4.89 for this. A lot of people were pricing items like this for like $50 on eBay. Again, I dropped the price to get it to move quicker is what I was about to say, more quickly. just by dropping the price, because if not, I'm going to be sitting on that item. So we listed it for $29.87, which is significantly lower, but because the sell-through rate wasn't there, I'm going to create my own sell-through rate basically by dropping the price. And again, it did sell within a couple of weeks for our full asking price. And the last like lower quick sale I wanted to show you before I move on to some of the Poshmark bolos was another bins pickup. This is Massimo, definitely not a brand I pick up very often, but again, with the factor stacking, this is a men's size extra large, so larger size, men's cardigan, which men's cardigans right now they're performing really well. So I'm always looking at men's cardigans. It was a cotton wool blend, and it had this really cool like southwestern buffalo print to it. We listed it for $19.87 simply because Massimo is not a brand that sells for a lot. Sold for a full asking price within like days. So that is an example of something that we're flipping for a lower amount, but we do know is going to sell quickly. Okay, moving on to some more higher price sales over onto Posh. You guys might remember this from a day in the life video with us where one of my employees had a donation from one of her family members, and they brought a lot of stuff, a whole truckload. Now, we didn't end up keeping everything, but there were some really great pieces we pulled out of that, particularly in the jackets department. There was some Harley stuff, there was some Tommy Bahama, can't remember what else, some Levi's, and almost everything, to be honest with you, almost everything has sold already. And it totally made up for digging through those items because we did find some higher price items and they were free, can be free. So this is a Harley Davidson men's jacket from that donation that was given to us. I did a Google Lens and found out that this was called the Half Mile jacket, which was a rare one. This was also a size extra large, which is definitely going to up the value. It was in pretty decent condition. Obviously anything pre-owned is going to have a slight overall wear to it, but other than that, really great condition. Other ones in this item I saw, because, other people had this listed too, but only a few people had theirs listed for over $400. I think I listed mine for like $425 and was accepting a best offer. Somebody sent me an offer pretty quickly for $375. I thought that was more than fair, and so I accepted. So the buyer got a great deal, and so did I. Again, I paid nothing for this, so to get $375 as an offer is amazing. But I thought I would show you this. When I looked this up, if I would not have Google Lensed it and I would have just gone off of like keyword comping, I would have probably only listed this for $250. So it does go to show that doing a little bit more research into these higher price items can make the world of a difference. Otherwise, I would have missed out on over $100. Okay. This brand, you guys, I've been talking about it every What Sold video. I told you I'm going to get it figured out. Aerie. Still trying to figure this out. This is Offline by Aerie, which is like their newer line. I think almost everything is Offline by Aerie now. But one thing I did find is that these crossover, where it folds over here, do have a really good following. This is a very popular style right now, especially paired with the flare yoga pants. So these were only a size small, but I did see that there was a pretty decent sell-through rate for the crossover leggings, and that's a keyword I would definitely use is crossover. I paid $4.89 for this. It sold very quickly for $25. So this is an Aerie item that I would look for. I'll continue to update you guys on this brand. I do come across Aerie pretty often. So because I come across it often, I want to know which pieces sell because I don't want to leave those items behind. This was a very quick flip. This flipped in, I want to say 24 hours. It might have been 48 hours, but definitely within the matter of like a day or so. I found this in the kids department at one of my thrift stores. Someone tried to steal it out of our cart. So there's like a whole story about this hoodie, but I'm glad we finally got it listed. This is a Bape or Bathing Ape hoodie. If you guys are my age, you probably know what this is, but definitely something to look for. However, you do want to be cautious of fakes. I was pretty certain that this was real. I made sure to take a lot of photos of like the inside tags, the stitching and all of that. I went back and forth with a couple of buyers about this who asked me a lot of questions, so I made sure to include a lot of photos. Again, very certain that this was real. The hardware also, which we took up close photos of, had the spell out on the hardware. But even being really sure, I'm very cautious not to list it on eBay because eBay is very, very specific about what you can list on there, and your items can get flagged so quickly, and I do not want to lose my eBay account. On Poshmark, in my opinion, the same thing can happen, but I've never really had an issue with it. So I usually either send items to the Real and let them sell it and just, make a little bit of money off of it and split commission. Or if I think it is going to sell and I'm pretty sure of authenticity, I'll just list it on Poshmark because, again, I haven't noticed any issues on there so far. If that changes, I'll let you guys know. But I have sold items on here, luxury items, and it's all ended up fine. So this one's sold within, again, I think a day for an offer of $130. So definitely something to keep your eye out for. Again, you want to check for authenticity. But if you haven't heard of this brand, it can be really good. Honestly, if I wouldn't have seen the tag because the jacket was open on the shelf, I probably would have just left this behind because it did not come off as a luxury item. Next up is an Intimately Free People oversized sweater. You guys will have seen this in one of our Day in the Life Thrift With Me videos. I feel like we could have priced this higher. This went very quickly in like a day or two. Anything Free People, any other lines with stuff that is super oversized. Now, let me just say, I know that Free People, all their stuff is pretty much oversized, but I'm talking like super oversized. If you come across anything like that, I would definitely get it. That seems to be a pretty consistent factor in Free People items that flip quickly for me. So we actually paid $4.19 for it, and it's sold on an offer for $30. Again, I think we could have priced it higher and held out, but glad to see that one go. This was a surprising sale for me. This is LuLaRoe, which I almost never get. This is a pair of jeans though. And after doing some research, these LuLaRoe jeans, depending on what they are, can flip very quickly. We paid $6.99 for these. They ended up selling on an offer for $35 on Poshmark, so I'm super happy with that. But I definitely keep your eye out for LuLaRoe jeans. Again, make sure to comp the specific style and size, but it seems to be a pretty consistent seller. Next up is a men's Lululemon shirt. This is kind of the same thing as that Harley jacket, where if I wouldn't have looked up the specific style, then I wouldn't have gotten as much money for it. So this is the only reason I bring this up, because I know most of you guys know what Lululemon is. This is a men's one. The logo looks a little bit different, so I did want to show you that as well. But I was able to Google lenses and find out it was called the Men's Metal Vent 2.0 long sleeve shirt, and it also had a camo print. Had I not done that research, we probably would have listed this for $35, but we ended up getting $45 for it. Just by doing that little bit of research, got $10 more. So again, I'm not saying look up the style on everything. Some people are looking up every style for J. Crew, for Banana Republic. In my opinion, it's not worth it for those in most cases, but when you're looking at a higher end item, sometimes it's worth the effort. This is a Ben's pickup. I almost left this behind. This is a vintage Tooltex 1995 sweatshirt. The reason I almost left it behind was because it had significant staining throughout. Significant staining. I took it home, we soaked it, we washed it. Still, the stains did not come out. You'll see we had to notate that here, and we also took some pictures of it. But we still listed it because that is a really cool graphic, and it ended up selling very quickly, surprisingly. I think we listed for $50 and we took an offer of $42. The buyers already left great feedback, so we're super happy with that. But once again, if there's a demand for something, sometimes it's worth the risk on the flaws. Next up is a North Face piece. This brand I've been slowing down on a lot. I try to focus on the larger sizes in both departments. Actually, surprisingly, the things that are performing the best for me in North Face right now are kids jackets. I can get almost as much for the kids jackets as I can for the adults, so pro tip there. But this is a women's size extra large, which is a fantastic size. I would say large and up in women's is what I try to stick to. This was called the Shelby Rochelle jacket, and we paid $8.99 for this. It sold pretty quickly for $58, which I thought was a pretty great return on investment. Next up is a brand that I just learned about. It's called Vanquish or VQ Fitness, and I came across I want to say 6 or 7 pairs of these all in one section at a Goodwill. I did some comps on them. There wasn't much information on eBay, but when I went on to Poshmark, I saw that a lot of these had sold, so I figured they would sell on Poshmark. These flew. I think I only have 1 pair left. They all sold. I only showed you one of them today, but over the last couple of weeks, mainly in the last week, these have all sold for about $23 to $25. I'm not getting much from them, but I only paid $4.89 a piece. And again, they're flipping super, super quickly. So I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for this brand in the future. And this is their logo. It's a VQ, if you guys come across it. I don't know. Again, I just learned about this brand, but it flew very, very quickly. So I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for this. I don't know if it's specifically the joggers, that style bringing the sale through or what, but they have almost all sold in the matter of a week to 2 weeks. Here's another Abercrombie piece. This is more bread and butter, but again, I'm experimenting with this brand. This is a pair of satin women's pull-on jogger pants. We paid $4.89. It sold for $25. Not much else to say about that, but if I have factors pulling something through like satin, I'm going to get it, and I can usually get about $25 for it. This is another Free People item. I would be on the lookout for longer length, like midi to maxi length dresses and also jumpsuits. If you're someone who skips on Free People, this can be a great thing to look for because this stuff flips very quickly. It has a higher sell-through rate than the tops and the bottoms. I paid $4.89 for this, and we listed it, I think, for $50 and accepted an offer of $40, which is a great return on investment. And this was called, I don't know if I said, it's called the Shayla jumpsuit. This is one of my favorite men's brands to pick up. It is Stetson. I would definitely commit this brand to memory. This is a plaid shirt jacket. We did not sit on this for very long. I feel like maybe a month or two. We paid $5.99 for it. It sold for $70. Some of the Stetson stuff goes for even more than that. I would definitely keep your eye out for Stetson pieces. Really fantastic brand to look for in the men's department. Kind of like that Free People jumpsuit. Something else you want to look for if you're skipping on Anthropologie pieces, if you're like they're just oversaturated, keep your eye out for midi to maxi or like full-length jumpsuits. This is Tanvi Kedia, which can be a brand sold at Anthropologie. This is a full-length maxi dress, and you can see a nice multicolor print there. This one actually, I did have quite a bit of competition with this, but I'm glad I did pick it up. It ended up selling for $53, and I paid $4.29 originally for it. Now, again, I did have to sit on this a little bit longer, but I thought it was worth the return that I got. Here's another fantastic menswear brand to pick up. I pick up everything in this. Relwen, Relwen. Here is their logo. I think that's a bird, is what it looks like to me. Fantastic brand to pick up. Sells for a ton of money. The thing I find with this brand is because there's not a whole lot of information yet about this brand, it does not go on the resale market as often as other things, is that sometimes it can be kind of hard to find the style name, and you really have to just focus on what it is. So I had to look up Relwen, Heather joggers in that particular size. We paid $4.99. We kind of guessed on the price. It ended up selling in about a month for $115, which I am super, super duper happy with. Definitely a brand I would keep your eye out for. And lastly is another flawed item. Now this one I actually did know. I did know that there were flaws on this. This one took a few months to sell. This is Lily Pulitzer. It did have holes, but it was a cashmere sweater with some metallic like fringe details at the bottom. If you guys didn't know, Lily Pulitzer, in addition to being a great brand, performs extremely well in cashmere sweaters. And so I picked this up even with the holes and just priced mine a little bit lower. I still ended up getting $39 for it, so about $40 for a flawed item. Crazy good. I almost left this behind and I would have been leaving $40 behind. So just wanted to share some of those items with you, kind of why I took the risk that I did and how they ended up working out. Paid $4.29 for that. All in all, that was a lot of flawed items, you guys, but still ended up selling. And had I left all those behind, I mean, I haven't added up, but I'm going to guess that would have been a couple $100 that I would have left behind on sales this week.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you do want to follow along this journey as we increase listings, make sure you are subscribed down below and hit that notification bell. If you do that, YouTube will notify you every time I make new videos. And we don't just do what sold videos, I also do thrift hauls, day in the life videos, and some tips and tricks. So make sure you're subscribed down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.